Tonight, on a special edition of WWE Raw, it's time for the draft. Which Raw wrestlers are going to go to Smackdown? What Smackdown wrestlers are we going to see go to Raw? We had a lot of wrestling, we had a lot going on. Right here, right now, it's your Raw review from Big Al and the Kick-Ass Wrestling Show. Big Raw tonight, everybody. 3 hours long. A lot of people are changing brands. A lot of people going from SmackDown to Raw and Raw to SmackDown, and you're going to find out who right now. The first thing that we see on Raw is The Miz and Big Show. They come out and they have something to say about Bret Hart and the Hart Dynasty. They want Bret Hart to come out and admit that they are the greatest tag team of all time. So Bret Hart comes out and admits Sheamus is the greatest tag team of all time. He then says that the Mountie was the greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and that the greatest heavyweight champion was David Arquette. So that was awesome to see him give a good little shot to David Arquette and Vince Russo, who booked that. So always good to take a shot at David Arquette. I like that. Then we have a big match, and an awesome match at that. The Hart Dynasty taking on the champs, Miz and Big Show. And we have new champions are crowned. It was an awesome match. It was a good match. New tag team champions are the Hart Dynasty. So I liked that, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the Miz and the Big Show were never really a tag team to begin with. And number two, the Hart Dynasty is an actual team. They dress similar. You know, they came out together originally. They are meant to be together. They are a team. They have a name. So it's always good to do that. Let's see if they'll give a little bit of focus to the tag team division. Maybe let the Hart Dynasty make a good run at it, because the tag team division has been very weak in the WWE. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come, and that things will change in that division. We'll get some real tag teams feuding with real tag teams. Remember when Demolition used to wrestle with the Hart Foundation, and the Hart Foundation were wrestling with the Rockers? We had some great tag teams in those days. Next we had Maryse and Eve taking on Michelle McCool and Layla. This was a pretty quick and whatever match. Maryse and Maryse and Eve were fighting. They didn't get along, so McCool wins. McCool and Layla win, and they get a draft pick. And Kelly is going to SmackDown. Who the hell cares if Kelly is going to SmackDown? Not me. So moving on. Evan Bourne took on CM Punk. That was a pretty good match. Relatively fast, but still pretty decent. CM Punk gets the win, and I don't think he's very happy about it, because the Big Show is going to SmackDown. So the Big Show is going to be on SmackDown. That was pretty cool. He was real happy. Then Teddy Long was talking with him in the back. He gave him the straight face. Big Show looked like he might punch him. Then he gave Teddy a hug. He's happy to be going to SmackDown. I wonder what they're going to do with the Big Show there. I guess that's it for him and Miz. They are no longer the champions. Oh, and he also punched Miz, I forgot to mention. Punched him in the face to officially break up that tag team. Big Show, he cannot keep a tag team partner. He was running through them. So let's see if they can stick with him as a singles wrestler. Maybe build him up as the giant that he used to be. He used to be a very, very tough force. He still is, but they could do a lot more with him. Randy Orton and Sheamus had a little problem. Sheamus came out. He was talking about how he beat up Triple H, wants a title shot. Randy Orton comes out. Randy Orton lost to Jack Swagger clean at Extreme Rules, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but I guess he's back in the title picture somehow. Then Cena comes out and announces to everyone that he is allowed to pick his own number one contender for Raw. When did that rule go into effect? Champions get to pick their own number one contender? So why the hell wouldn't John Cena pick me? It'd be a real easy match for him. It doesn't make any sense. Again, that's very, just let's throw that together sort of thing by the WWE. If you can't say anything else about their writing team, they're extremely, extremely lazy, and their booking is very, very simple. Anyhow, they talk some crap. John Cena tells them that they're going to have a match, surprise, surprise, to determine the number one contender later on Raw. And then later on Raw, Batista comes out. He gets a little bit involved because he's pissed off about what happened to him with the duct tape at Extreme Rules. So it turns into a three-way match for the main event of Raw. It was a pretty good match, and the winner is Batista. So Batista is now the number one contender and will be taking on John Cena for the title. 10-man battle royal. This was interesting. For SmackDown, we had The Truth, Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio Jr., Kane, and Shad, formerly from Crime Time, taking on Yoshitatsu, Santino. Who picked Santino? The Raw team, that's all they had? That was, of all people to select. I know that he's a comedy relief, but they would never really pick him if they were going to war in a match and it was of any importance. Ted DiBiase, MVP, and Mark Henry. Somehow the Raw team won this match. I don't know why. Their team looked a lot weaker, but they got the victory, and Raw won 3 draft picks, and they were all pretty good. John Morrison, The Truth, and the big one, Edge, all going to Monday Night Raw. So Edge, Morrison, and The Truth to Raw as a result of that 10-man battle royal. So that was okay, and it was kind of, those are good movements. We'll talk a little later about whether these moves were the right ones or the wrong ones as far as the draft goes. Then we had Jericho defeat Christian, which brought Kofi Kingston to SmackDown. So I think that's a good move for Kofi Kingston. He's a little, it seemed like there were too many big names, too many stars on Monday. He wasn't really going to shine there. SmackDown, which is a little more wrestler-oriented, it's more about the in-ring work ethic. He could probably thrive under those conditions. I think he'll do better on SmackDown than he did on Raw. So that's one move that I would have to agree with. Pretty good match. Then we had a very long match. Jack Swagger defeated John Morrison. And that brought Christian to SmackDown. So welcome to SmackDown, Christian. Boy, can Vince McMahon bury Christian anymore? Maybe he's going to have him feud with Swagger over that title. I don't know. Maybe they'll give him the title. I could be wrong here. But I think Vince McMahon will never push Christian. Christian will never be a world champion. He'll never really be over as a main eventer in the WWE. I think he could be. I think he definitely has the personality and the skill. He might be a little skinny. But I think he could be a lot more than Vince McMahon does with him. McMahon really buried him ever since he went to TNA. A little bit of a payback there. It continues with Christian now demoted, I guess you could say demoted, to SmackDown. The big name of the night to Raw, Chris Jericho. Jericho is going to Raw. Raw is Jericho. That's good news. I'm very happy about that. For some reason, Jericho just seems out of his element on the taped SmackDown. I like him better live. I like him better not knowing what he's going to do next. I like him better on Raw. So I'm glad that Chris Jericho is coming to Raw, and we already talked about the main event. So there you go. The matches were okay. I thought the movement was all right. Some good moves, some bad. Big Show going to SmackDown, that can be all right. Big Show's a big name. I liked him on Raw, and SmackDown's more of the wrestling program. Big Show's more of a personality. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think that's a good move, but I could be wrong. Kelly to SmackDown, no one cares. Kofi Kingston to SmackDown, thumbs up. And Christian to SmackDown, thumbs down. John Morrison and The Truth are going to Raw. I think that's good for both of them because they're both very good wrestlers. They both have personality. They both have a lot of potential that has yet to really come to the surface completely. And the best way to get them there is live on Raw. So I'm with both of those decisions. Edge to Raw, I don't really know about. We're taking a lot of good wrestlers away from SmackDown here. Edge and Jericho, okay? Both these guys had a feud. Both these guys were two of the big names. And you're going to replace those guys with the Big Show? Christian? Okay, I like Christian. But that's not really a replacement for Edge, Jericho, Truth, and Morrison. Those are big losses for SmackDown. So some good moves, some questionable. But overall, I liked most of these moves. I thought they were smart. The bad about Raw tonight, the booking is still extremely lazy. It's still extremely simple. When all you have to do is have your world champion come out and say, I pick the #1 contenders. When all you're doing to start feuds is sending one wrestler out to spear another for no particular reason. That's extremely lazy booking. Think about all the different ways they could have brought those two together, Edge and Randy Orton. Think about all the different angles or start to a feud that you could come up with. And they would all probably be better than just go in there and spear them. So again, very, very lazy, uncreative booking from the WWE. That's really my only complaint. The wrestling was solid, the characters are always pretty good, and they are fairly consistent. They don't throw things all over the place for the most part. That all being said, I am going to give tonight's WWE Raw a B-. This was a good show that I enjoyed, but you can't tell me that Raw isn't capable of doing better. You can't really tell me that with a straight face, because they are. They need to get more creative. They need to take more chances. They need to give us more meat and bones on the storylines. Give us something, please. I'm Big Al, and this has been your Raw Review.